Hello everyone and welcome back to Farming Simulator 19. Welcome back to Cybuchowo. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. From now on, it's Chewbacca Farms. Chewy Farms, that's what we're going to call this deal. Because it's a Polish map and it's very, very hard to pronounce. Now, you'll notice I have $500,000 up there. This is a brand new farm. The reason is my power went off in the middle of saving because I was having a storm. As you can see, I got nothing. My last game save got deleted. This is on the hardest mode. I have nothing. It starts from scratch. I have no property. I have no equipment. All I have is $500,000 to start a farm. So I figured if I'm going to restart it, I'm going to do it on the hardest mode, and we're going to do everything. I'm going to buy this area right here, which is where your starting farm is on the new farmer mode. I'm going to buy that little plot of land, but there's nothing there. It's just an empty little area. There's not even a field. But that's where we're going to be. I think what I'm going to do first is probably run ducks, but I need to buy a harvester, a tractor, a trailer, and a header to start this deal off. Because I only have $500,000 and money is tight, I'm going to go with this guy. And we're going to try to make this as green as possible because I want to do a John Deere farm is what my goal is. This obviously is not a John Deere tractor, but we're going to fake it a little bit in the beginning. I will eventually replace this with a actual John Deere tractor, but I can't afford one yet because I got to make sure I can get a good harvester. I want to get a nice John Deere harvester, and I need to be able to buy some property to start off with so that I can harvest it. Now, we will not be hiring any workers on this gameplay. I'm doing everything myself. If I buy a field, I'm going to harvest the field, and if I decide to replant it, I'll replant it myself. Everything is me. There's no workers on this one. The reason I'm doing it that way is because this is the hardest mode possible, so let's make it hard. All right, what harvester do I want? I want to go with John Deere. I have this mod over here. I went right past it, I think. Yeah, the 9600 series by John Deere. That's only $87,000. Now, that's around the same price as the base model Bison. Now, this Bison mod is only $31,000. But since I'm going to do a John Deere farm, and I can get a John Deere harvester that's a good harvester for the same price as the base model Bison, for a couple thousand more actually, but it's around the same price, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I mean, that's a no-brainer for me. This John Deere is going to have a capacity of over 10,000 liters. So that's awesome. Now, there are a couple different things you can change, but none of them really make a difference in the speed or the capacity. So I don't see any reason to really change anything and spend any more money than I have to. I can do the 9600 or the 9610 series. That changes the horsepower from 253 to 275. The speed remains exactly the same. The capacity remains exactly the same. So I don't see any real advantage to doing that. It's going to cost me more money, so there's no point. So I'm just going to get it as is. I think that's fine because it doesn't change anything. So why spend the extra? I mean, that makes sense to me, right? Especially when money's tight. So we're going to go ahead and buy this. It's going to end up costing us $134,000. They kind of did you dirty on this one because it says 80-some thousand is what it cost, but you don't have an option. I mean, you can either do 9600 or 9610, but you have to pay for both, which takes it up to 134. It's kind of dirty, but that's okay. Now I got to find a header for it. I think I know which header I want. It's this mod header I always use, but I want to check real quick and make sure that there isn't a header that is designed specifically for the 9600. This is the header I'll probably buy. That's one I almost always get. I really like it. I'm not seeing anything yet that says 9600. There's the S790, 9750. Yeah, I don't have a header that'll work with it, I don't think. It'll be a guessing game to try to figure out which one. So I'm just going to go with this guy, the Cressoni CRX 6.60. This is an awesome header. I love this header because it folds on itself. So you can fit in little areas. And then you can unfold it to harvest, and it gives you a pretty decent spread. That's New Holland. I don't want that. I want John Deere. I don't have that option. So it's going to have to be green on green. But they're both John Deere green, so that's fine. I don't think I need any of that stuff. So we'll buy it. $46,000, and our harvester is done. Awesome. Now we just need to buy a trailer. I always start off with the TDK 1600. That's my go-to. It holds 14,000 liters. It's got the straight hookup to it to where it's easier to back up. It's a great starter trailer. All right, let's see. I'm going to buy a field or two to start. I'm looking to get soybeans to start off because I want to just get some quick money. So 78 here is soybeans, and it's ready. So I'll buy that. We'll harvest that, sell the field back, and then probably buy field 90 right next to it, which is also soybeans. And that should give us a pretty good start. Because I'll get a decent amount of soybeans off that, and I should be a little over $200,000 when it's all said and done of money left. So that should be enough to get me started with ducks and everything. And be able to buy another field to harvest the crop that I'm going to need for ducks. Now I am allowing myself to buy and sell fields on this gameplay, but as I said, everything has to be done by me. Now I want to show you this header. See how it's folded on itself? It's much larger than that when you unfold it and actually use it, but it stores this way, which is brilliant because I can actually get it out of tiny little gates like this. Otherwise, I'd have to buy a header trailer and load it onto a header trailer and haul it behind, and it's just a pain. All right, I am up here at the store. I got to get down there to field 78, so I will see you when I get there. All right, we are on 78 now. I got to get this thing turned on, and here we go. You can see how much larger the header is now that it's unfolded. This is the inside of the cab. I always like to look at the inside of these cabs. They are so awesome. You got your control panel there, your steering wheel, your control for your header. Here's the way you get in. You got to climb up that little ladder. There's a control panel up top. That is so cool. All right, we'll do a headland on this from inside the cab so you can kind of see how it looks when you're driving it. I prefer the above view simply because it gives you better control over where you're actually harvesting because you can see a little bit better. It's hard to see the sides here of where your header is actually picking up, so sometimes you'll miss spots doing it this way. At least it's hard for me to judge it. Some people, I guess, can do it because they're used to it, but I'm not. I'd love to drive one of these in real life. I think that would be absolutely amazing. I've never driven one. I've driven a lot of different equipment because I sold construction equipment for about a year or two for a company named Washington Air Compressor in DC. And I would sell like excavators and dozers and the whole gamut of construction equipment. So I've operated a lot of large equipment and I'm really good with a lot of it. But I've never gotten in a harvester. I would love to check one of these out. Now, truth be told, the majority of them today are all kind of computer operated. So yes, you can drive them, but they have like drive lanes that you can set up with GPS and it will follow that path that you lay out for it. So literally you could get it all set up and started and start rolling and then just read a book or play a video game or play on your phone or whatever, and you don't have to pay attention because the computer does everything for you. But I'm sure there's a way that you can do it where you don't set all that up and you just do it old school. I would love to try. It'd be so cool. Maybe one day. These things are extraordinarily expensive to buy also in real life. So the only way I would actually buy one is if I were planning on growing a large number of some type of crop. Most likely if I do something like that, it would be corn. But I spent 4 years in Illinois, and I got so used to cornfields, and I kind of miss them. So that's probably what I would plant, would be a field of corn. But there's really no reason for me to do that, honestly, so I don't know if I ever will or not. But that is the first headland done. Hello everyone, this is Future James. I decided to speed up the harvesting. I'm going to do the headland like normal and then probably speed up the rest because this took an extraordinarily long time to do this field, and a little sneak peek, we actually bought the next field in this gameplay as well and went ahead and harvested that. But it was like a full hour of just harvesting, just to get all this done. It took forever. Now this is like 4 times speed or whatever, so we're going to go ahead and roll with this. And I'm actually doing you a favor because during this entire time, past James was still talking. And he got into talking about different seed types and GMO seed versus heirloom seed and how they're genetically modified so that there's actually like Roundup and stuff inside the plant. It was an amazing discussion, but it kind of went on and on and on. And if you're not somebody who is really interested in the intricacies of the genetic tampering with of seeds and all of that, then you probably wouldn't have gave a damn about that conversation. So I decided to just kind of speed the whole thing along so that you're not sitting here for an hour watching me go back and forth harvesting. Now, if you want to hear that conversation about GMO seeds and heirloom seeds and everything like that, maybe he'll do a video on that for you someday. Now, past James doesn't know that I've decided to speed all this up. And that will just about finish up this field, which is awesome. So now, well, I don't think actually I was going to go ahead and unload, bring my tractor over, but there's really no point. I'm only half full. So I'm going to sell this field back, and I'm going to buy field 90 right here. Because that was also fully grown, and it is also soybeans. So that's awesome. So we'll get into doing that one as well. We're going to run a headland on this field, just like we did the last field. And then we'll just kind of follow the circle that we make all the way around this thing. It's really spectacular when you think about how farming works now, how much different it is from the old days. Because back in the old days, I mean, before harvesters, before tractors, before all that kind of stuff, you did all of this stuff with a wagon and with horses and a plow or oxen and a plow, something like that. Sometimes people would use donkeys. And it was a hell of a lot of work. But the good thing about back then was the seed was all heirloom seed instead of this GMO seed which they have today. Now, basically what that means, an heirloom seed, you can take the seed from whatever you're growing and replant it and grow more of whatever that is. So if you're growing corn, you can let some of the corn stay on the stalk and dry, and then you can kind of brush all that off into a bucket or something and replant it the next year. But the seed they use nowadays, the majority of it is GMO seed, and it's genetically modified so that it will not reproduce again. So you have to buy the seed every year, which sucks. I mean, nobody wants to do that. One, it's not healthy for you because you're losing a lot when you're using the GMO products. It's not as healthy, and some of them even have some really horrible things in them. I mean, some of these they actually genetically modified to put different types of fertilizers and even different types of insecticide in the plant itself. Now, I don't mean if you cut the stalk that it's going to pour out Roundup or something. That's just silly. But the actual plant has that as part of it. So if an insect bites the plant, it gets poisoned. It's crazy. Now that's great to keep insects off your plant. Brilliant idea, right? But you got to think, what the hell is that doing to your body if you're eating that? I mean, if it's killing the bug, what the hell is it going to do to you when you put that in your body? People don't think about that, but that's important stuff. I mean, you never know. The second you pick something, it starts to lose nutritional value anyway. And you got to think some of the stuff that you're eating comes from other countries. So it's been picked, it's been put in a box, and then it gets shipped or put in a truck and then shipped to a train yard and then shipped to a shipyard and then taken across the ocean on a cargo ship and then unloaded back onto another truck or train and then taken to a distribution center where it's finally loaded on another truck and goes to a supermarket where you get to actually buy it and then eat it. So by the time you get to it, it's weeks or months old, which is insane. And all of that time, you're losing the nutritional value of that plant. But when you grow it yourself, you pick it, you take it right inside and cook it up, or you take it right inside and eat it raw, and it is just so much better. It's better for you, and the taste is phenomenal. I mean, there's plants that I've grown myself in my gardens that I absolutely love, but I will not eat them from the store because I don't like them from the store. And my whole life I thought I didn't like that vegetable, but when I grew it myself and tried it, I loved it. It was amazing. So the difference in taste is absolutely mind-blowing. And it also depends on what seed you use. I mean, going back to the whole GMO thing, some seeds are just not as good as other seeds. The taste is different and the properties of the plant are different. And that's kind of important. So we're just kind of rolling along right now trying to fill up the harvester. Once we get the harvester full, I'm going to bring the trailer over, the tractor that has the trailer on it, and we will unload and then we'll finish the field. Because once we fill that trailer up, there's still going to be soybeans left on this field that we're going to have to harvest. So what we'll have is an entirely full trailer, and then we'll have leftover soybeans still in the harvester. So I'll have to make 2 trips to sell, most likely. Now we're at around $70,000 right now, but once we sell this field back and we sell all the crops on it, depending on the price that it's selling for, I haven't checked that yet. So depending on the price, we should be somewhere in the ballpark of 200,000, 205,000, maybe even as high as 215, 220. If we're talking a high enough price, we might get there. If we're talking anywhere from 2,000 to 2,500, we're going to be in the 200,000 range, give or take 5 or 10 grand. If we get over the $3,000 mark that it's selling for, we might be as high as 250, which would be phenomenal. I don't expect that, but that would be great. Now, if the price is down around 1,000, you're looking at 190, 195 maybe. So it all depends on what it's selling for. I'm not going to look at that yet, though. I'm going to wait until I'm done, because it's going to change by the time I get done anyway. So there's no point in torturing myself. So we're at 94% of this harvester full, 95. So it's a long ride over here from the store. So once I get this harvester filled up, it'll probably finish this line, maybe get close, and then it'll be full. So I'll bring the tractor and the trailer back over here and fill up. And then once I do that, get full and start harvesting again, maybe I'll go into a lot more detail on the GMO seeds and all that kind of stuff, because we're going to have some time. This takes a while to do. I don't know if future James will cut any of this out or if he'll speed it up or what he'll do. But hopefully, yeah, that filled it up. But hopefully we'll get to have that conversation, because it's some interesting stuff. So I'm going to go grab the trailer and bring that back over here, and we'll be good to go. All right, everybody, it's Future James again. I am muting past James and speeding this thing up. It's going to take forever. So I thought, what the hell, let's rock out a little bit while we do this. Everybody knows the theme song to Staring Into the Abyss. The guy who does that, John Hammond, has written a lot of different songs, has a couple albums. So let's listen to something called Magic Land by John Hammond.
Back down.
Alright, we are here at the granary or the grain silo. I forget what it was called. This is the place that was selling for the best. Selling for around 2,400 that per 1,000 liters. So that's a pretty decent price. So we're going to go ahead and figure out where we have to unload here. I've never been here before. This is kind of a neat place. These trucks look pretty awesome. Wonder what this is over here. I don't think this is an unload point, but maybe it's where you load up grain if you want to buy it or something. That's pretty neat. Okay, I see the grates over here. This is where we're going to unload. So we will unload this trailer load and see what we get for it. So we got 14,000 liters. And it's selling for, I think I said 2,400 is what it said. Not exactly, I don't remember the exact number. But hopefully we're going to be in the 30,000 range, somewhere in there for it. 33,912, so that's awesome. That brings us to $104,000. We have a partial trailer left that's still in the harvester that we're going to need to go get and bring back here. And we need to sell the property, and it was like 81 or 82,000, something like that. So when we sell that other trailer, that's going to give us probably around 20,000, somewhere in that range, and then 82,000. All right, so we are back here, and we're talking, I'm going to guess around 205,000, give or take a few thousand, is what we'll end up with here. So we're at 185 now after selling the land. It sold for 82, so that should give us around 205 if we get the right amount here. As long as the price hasn't changed. I didn't check it again, so. Okay, so we got 19,730, that's just under 20,000. So that brings us to 205,248. So I was pretty much dead on with that. So that is our total now. We are in a good position to get the ducks going next episode. But that's going to be the end of this one. If you liked it, please hit the like button and subscribe. And until I speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you. So do I. Bye-bye.